it's Bro You Whack, and with Season 15, they brought a brand new gameplay experience in Overwatch 2 called Perks. Perks!
Yo, Percocet,
No, not those kind of perks, even though I think that would make Overwatch 2 a lot more fun and bearable. No, the perks that I'm talking about are the perks that can upgrade your hero kit. Abilities, ultimates, primary fire, just anything with a hero you can upgrade through 2 minor perks or 2 major perks. But unfortunately, not every single hero got the benefit of having S tier perks, which is why today we're gonna be ranking every single hero's perk setup. Not the hero as a whole, just really when it comes down to their 4 perks. And since there's 168 perks in total, let's just get it started right away, because this is gonna take a long time. But if you want to skip to any hero, I will have timestamps for every single hero in the description of this video. Starting off this tier list is Ana, someone who always comes out the gate swinging and is always usually at the top of just any list. You can't go wrong with any of their perks. And even the minor perks, honestly, are major level perks. Being able to have 2 biotic grenades, and then when it comes to the major perks, being able to headshot people, if you're a good Ana, you're gonna really take advantage of that. You can not only nano boost your teammate, but yourself as Ana. So now 2 heroes will not die. Like Mercy always says, heroes never die, but Ana ensures that nobody will die. But again, Ana, all 4 perks are fantastic, and when I give Ana an S tier rating, just know that this is not gonna be common for any of the heroes, because sometimes they're gonna be a hero like Ashe, who, unfortunately, the minor perks, they're fine, but they're not 2 biotic grenades fine. Now, me personally, I like to do the rapid fire and Viper's Sting setup perk. Now, that might seem a little bit counterintuitive because, well, you're benefit the unscope damage and then the scope damage for the major perk, but when it comes to the other 2 perks, they're just not really something that fits my playstyle or that I don't see a lot of benefit from. So that's why I'm gonna be slotting here right at B tier. The perks, they're great, they're not bad, and they're definitely not mid. Baptiste is one of the few heroes that has awesome minor perks, and then the major perks are just I mean, the field medicine perk, being able to make your immortality field even that much more powerful, but especially with the other perk where you get a window and an extra just thing comes out and shoot. I just love how they added some animations to some of these heroes perks. You see that with Soldier, you see that with Orisa and her shield, but when it comes to the major perks, there's just a letdown. I don't want to horizontally jump, I only want to hop like a frog, and there's a downside to his soul tip burst. So because he has such bad major perks, he's gonna be right here at B tier. Even if he just had 1 good major perk, he'd be right here at A, but unfortunately, he's at B. Bastion is one of the few heroes that has awesome major perks, but his minor perks are... Alright, I promise that's gonna be the last time I do it. See, this is why I hated starting off with Ana, because her minor perks, just so great. Then you look at Bastion, and you get 300 temporary overhealth when you ult, but you're always hiding when you ult. You don't really need that extra 300 health, and then that extra knockback from the grenade, that's nice, but it's not like, oh, I'm so much more powerful with Bastion. Yeah, you can get on higher elevation, but you're kind of just in a sense wasting your grenade that you could otherwise use it to possibly get a kill. But the major perks, I love them. Being able to self-heal or being able to fire grenades through your turret, like that's what makes him a great hero now. I really want to put him in A tier because of the grenades with his turret, but I'm gonna do right and put him right next to Baptiste. Even though the order of within the tiers don't matter, B tier is gonna be the same basically for every hero that's in each tier. Hey, Brigitte is a little bit kinky with that whiplash major perk, being able to do damage if you whip someone against the wall. Please let that be me! I'm sorry, they're fine perks, and it's just funny with barrier restoration. You restore 100 health of your barrier shield, but you need that restoration because your shield is gone. So how are you gonna shield bash if you don't have a shield? No downside to using Brigitte's perks, but there's no high upside, so that's why she's gonna be right here at B tier. Man, there's so many good B tiers. It's just because we haven't ran into a mid perk up until now with Cassidy. I hate Cassidy's perks. Okay, I lied. I like 1 perk, and that's gunslinging. This is the definition of a major perk that's not only fun, but just fits the fantasy of Cassidy, a cowboy that is just a dead shot daiquiri away from getting a 3-second reset to his cooldown of his roll. And you can cheers a minor perk to pair alongside of it, where you're literally telling yourself that you're not going to use your ultimate. If you don't use your ultimate, you get restored 30%. Fan the Hammer is the key perk, but the benefit is so that you don't have to worry about the headshot. And then the fact that you can throw 2 flashbangs, but at 30% less damage, like, come on, what are we doing here, Cassidy? You're not bad, all because of the gunslinging perk. But I might have fooled you guys by saying it was mid. Unfortunately, he's going to be our first hero in D tier, because he just has such bad perks, but 1 good one. And Doomfist might be joining Cassidy next because his perk setup, it's just very lackluster. His minor perks are fine. It's really nice to get your hand cannons back whenever you punch someone, but by the time you're already charging up your fist, your hand cannon should already be reloaded. But his major perks, okay, so 1 is called Seismic Empowerment, where if you hit 3 or more enemies, you empower your rocket fist. How many times are you realistically slamming on 3 enemies at once? And the power matrix, it's just fun, man. It's just a definition of mid. Most of the tank perks are mid, so he's gonna be our first hero, not in D tier, but in C tier. As an E-girl D.va main, I was so heartbroken to see D.va's perk setup, and especially the minor perks. They're just so bad. So they're all related around the mech. One, you literally tell yourself, I need the extra health as baby D.va because I always die. But in my honest opinion, if I see a baby D.va, I'm gonna kill her whether she's at 300 health or 150 health. But my biggest gripe is with the heavy rockets. So when you compare the micro missiles to the heavy rockets, there's not much difference from the damage. Yeah, you do more damage with the heavy rockets, but more likely, if you just miss one of those heavy rockets, you do the same amount of damage as the micro missiles. So that's why D.va's going straight into D tier. And this time it actually stands for a name, D.va. D.va's in D tier. I am so sad. I'm sorry. All right, let's move on with Echo. So Echo's perks, oh my god, I feel like I'm dogging on perks way too much, but we just started off so hot and we saw the potential of perks. But with Echo, being able to copy your ally, like, that's fine, but I feel like that should just be a standard perk setup with Echo. But then it's the sticky bombs. You get 50% more projectiles, but at 15 less damage. It's just like with D.va, like, yeah, you do more damage on paper, but is it really worth the trade-off? And I feel like for a major perk, it's not worth the trade-off. I'd rather have a, like, maybe longer flight, or maybe just, like, longer ultimate without having to get my first one. So that's why I'm putting Echo right into D tier, just because, like, there's costs at using some of these perks, and I hate perks like that. Moving away from D tier heroes, we have Genji. It's kind of ironic. Spoiler, he's not in D tier, but he's definitely not in S tier. I always use the Dragon Thirst one just because, I don't know, I feel like resetting your double jump, which, funny enough, you don't reset your double jump, you just reset one jump after you use your Swift Strike, is not that much of a benefit to me. But when you look at his major perks, I want to like Blade Twist, and you deal an additional 25 damage over time, but it's after an elimination, and this is great if you're a really good Genji main, but it's already hard enough for Genji to get one elimination, so you're choosing a perk over being able to regenerate 25 health when you deflect, which is always going to be beneficial on the off chance that you could maybe get a second elimination. To me, this is the definition of mid. There's some good upside for Genji, but it's not like scary perk setup upside. We're going to Hanzo, and I think you know why I'm freaking out here, and it's because Scatter Arrow is back as one of his perks. But what I love most about this, everyone's gonna use Scatter Arrow, because with Sonic Disruption, you can now hack a health pack with your Sonic Arrow, and the health pack is hacked for the duration of that Sonic Arrow. But here's the problem with that. You're wasting a Sonic Arrow for one health pack. You wanna know what you could just do instead? Just get the health pack! Like, do you desperately need that single health pack to where you waste one of your perks? My god. And then the major perks, they're also just kind of boring. The wall climb, being able to increase by 250. On paper, that seems fine, but everyone's mostly going to be using Dragon Fury. But my god, like, I really want to put Hanzo in D tier, but he has 2 good perks, and that's the definition of mid right there. So he's going to join his brother right in a C tier. A lot of the tanks in this game have some boring perks. Useful perks, but boring. And Hazard is the poster child of that. A lot of this is just percentage increase for his abilities, whether it's his Violent Leap or his Jagged Wall, his Spike Guard, or again, his Violent Leap. Everything is just increased by a certain percentage. And for that, it's not exciting, even though it is very helpful. That's why it's going to be right here in B tier. I just wish a lot of the tanks were a little bit more creative. Now, while Illari is not going to be on the same level as Ana, honestly, I don't think anyone would be on the same level as Ana. I think Illari is fine on her own. I always use Rapid Construction. This is something that you're always going to benefit, and you don't have to wait for a specific moment to get that benefit. But I just especially love Sunburn. You get an additional 70 damage over 3 seconds overtime, so not only do you get to push them away, but that's gonna allow you to get an easy headshot, and while they're on fire, they're probably gonna die. That's a great example of a major perk that doesn't have any trade-off compared to something like D.va, where you have to trade in your micro missiles for just a little bit of extra damage. So that's why she's gonna go straight into B tier. It's not super duper powerful, but it's good enough. The queen of the Junkers is here with Junker Queen, and I love her perk setup, but just take a look at Battle Shout. Not only does this reload your scatter gun, making you even more aggressive of a queen, but also gives your allies increased reload speed by 50%. You get 2 benefits for 1 minor perk slot. Compared to other tanks, that's amazing. But when you pair that up with Deep Wounds, this is one of the rare occurrences, surprisingly, where perks can really work together to make your experience with that hero just that much more powerful. This is just what makes a tier hero when it comes to their their perks. So that's why she's gonna be the first hero in A tier. But we go from the queen of the Junkers to the peasant of the Junkers, which is Junkrat. He's literally a rat of the Junkers when you think about it. And his perks are just as trash. You can throw your steel trap farther. Sick! Or what a lot of people argue that as a good perk is your nitro boost to your tire, but you lose out on 50% of the damage. So for tanks, it's completely useless. For 300 HP heroes like Mei and Reaper and Bastion, this is also useless. For squishy heroes, it's decent, okay? But the fact that you can still mess up on 250 HP heroes if you just miss it by just a little bit makes this actually a debuff. Then it gets even worse with this mage perks. Like, I hate perks that gives you an upside, but a downside. And with frag cannon, where you get an increased speed of 40%, but you lose that on one grenade, I don't think that that's that great of a benefit. And then with the TikTok perk, and no, I'm not talking about the song by Kesha about the app. There's just so much going on with this perk that I'm gonna be reading all that on the battlefield. Obviously, that doesn't make it a bad perk, but you have to wait for it to land to get all the benefit within 0.5 seconds. Like, oh, I'm just stressed trying to figure out why you would use any of these perks with Junkrat. He's always been a low tier hero, but this was his chance to get out of F tier. But unfortunately, his perk setup is going to solidify him as our first and probably only F tier hero in this tier list. Why can't you just be simple like Juno? Your torpedoes lock on 30% faster. Love that. That's always going to benefit you as a Juno main. Or you can get a slight little boost if you boost through your hyper ring. Hey, it's like Mario Kart 2.0. And she takes a page right out of Honest Book where you're able to critical headshot enemies. If you're an awesome Juno, you're really gonna love that major perk. The double jump reset, that's kind of lame. In fact, that was available when Juno first released. So they're turning a bug into a perk. If she had a different major perk instead of reboot, she'd be right here in A tier, but she's gonna be right here in B tier. Everyone always asks me what I think is the best perk in the game. And I think if it's not the strike perk for Ana, it's one of Kiriko's perks. Now, it's not her minor perks, all right? I always use Fortune Teller because I love to DPS, but I also want to heal sometimes. And now I get the best of both worlds, sending 2 papers every single time I shoot a kunai. Or actually, when I hit a kunai, I launch 2 papers. So I'm still not going to be healing my teammates, because I never land any kunais. But what I think is the best perk in the game is shuffling. You can use a second swift step after you use your initial swift step within 4 seconds. This ensures that Kiriko just will not die. Kiriko has some of the most beneficial perks with no downside to it, and they're really good, which is why she's gonna be joining Ana in S tier. Is that just because I'm glazing Blizzard's favorite hero? Possibly, but I mean, now she's gonna be everyone's favorite hero because she just has that good a perk setup. So Lifeweaver, one of the perks I think should just be a normal build. His minor perk, Cleansing Grasp, it cleanses negative abilities. Discord Orb, Ana's anti-grenade, a hack. I think you should always be running that one because the life cycle dying, I don't really like the fact that you're relying on dying to heal your allies. If you want to heal your allies even more effectively, well, you got Lifeweaving, which gives you 20 extra health after you dash for 3 seconds. I hate perks like that, where there's some condition that you gotta follow. No, that's why I love Kiriko, because the conditions are always gonna be followed, because they're so easy to do. But that doesn't negate the fact that Lifeweaver has some great perks, which is why he's gonna be going in A tier. There's no downside to using his perks, and they're really helpful with the kind of playstyle that you have with Lifeweaver. Dude, they must have took extra time cooking the support perks, because when we get to Lucio, all of these are so sick. Increase to your knockback is great, but what I think every Reddit Lucio main is gonna choose is the Groovin' perk. It reloads your gun, 4 bullets to your gun every second that you're wall riding. So this means you're never gonna run out of bullets as long as you're wall riding. And that's a minor perk. Like that's mage level perks for some of the tanks. And here it's only a minor perk? Yes, sign me up for that. But if you want to Reddit harder, all you gotta do is choose Accelerando, where you increase your attacking speed when you amp it up. Like this is not only funny, goofy, haha perks, but also beneficial perks that if you're a good Reddit Lucio, not Reddit Lucio, because that has negative implications, you're gonna be even more deadly on the field. That's why he's gonna go straight into A tier. I really want to put him in S tier. It's just really that increase of knockback that it's good, but it's not S tier good. Over reach Mauga, someone who's already so powerful, but his perk setup makes him even more powerful, at least on paper. So you get their Overrun perk, where it automatically reloads your gun for 150 over time, all while charging. Now, if that was instantaneous, I think that would be a awesome minor perk, but since it's over time, you're not always gonna get all of that 150 bullets. And the 2 hearts perk, it's a little bit complicated, but it's really great once you actually like understand it fully. But then his major perks are sick as well. You ignite the enemies when you charge into them. It's not as good as Illari's fire, where you can do an AoE. You always have to charge in the enemy, but that's really good with the playstyle for Mauga. And then his combat fuel, oh my god, like again, just very conditional perks where you get 100 overhealth on your next use of your cardiac overdrive. It's not that it's bad, it's just I just want straightforward perks that are always going to be beneficial and not force you into a specific playstyle. So that's why it's going to be in B tier. It's solid perk set, do not get me wrong, but they're not super overpowerful that fits a majority of everyone's playstyle. Mei's up next, my pride and joy, my bread and butter, the main of my life here, as some solid perks as well. Not super overpowered perks, some really fun perks. I love the Cryo Freeze major perk, where if someone is near you, it does 70 damage every second. Like when you think about 70 damage every second that someone's near you while you're getting healed, that's powerful. When it comes to the major perks, it really just depends on what the enemy is running. If they're playing close combat, I choose that Cryo Freeze. Playing long range, I choose the Biting Cold, which slows them down. But when looking at the minor perks, they're pretty bad. I almost exclusively use Chilling Reach, where it extends your primary fire, because when it comes to the permafrost, you get 2 extra seconds of the wall, but the wall sucks. Like, it's gonna get destroyed. You're not really gonna benefit from the extra 2 seconds. So just because of that minor perk, she's gonna go straight into B tier. If she had one more better minor perk, she'd be right here in A tier. But we reached the hero that I'm wearing the t-shirt of, so you best believe I'm gonna have some opinions for what is my most played support hero, surprisingly. Let's break down all the perks. So you have Winged Reach, which increases your guardian angel by 30%. Cool. I think a lot of people would just choose that just because it's always straightforward and always beneficial, because Angelic Recovery, it's sort of like a backwards perk. So if a target is fully healed, you as Mercy receive 15 healing per second. Now on paper that's good, but when you think about it, this is really only going to be used for blue beaming targets, because, well, if you're healing them, they're not fully healed, so this perk is useless. So for Ashes and Widows, this is great. Then we look at Chain Boost, another straightforward perk where if you blue beam someone, you're just gonna link up with a second target. That's really great, but useless if you only are blue beaming a Widow or an Ashe that are in the backline by themselves. It's counterproductive to use the minor perk with this major perk. Okay, well, what about the Flash Heal? Well, you can instantly give someone 150 heal, but now you are gonna have your Resurrect on 15 cooldown. Again, a bad perk is something that you have to give up compared to some of these other perks. I don't think Flash Heal is that awesome, and I don't think Mercy has that great of perks, but she doesn't have bad perks. I really think Mercy is the definition of mid perks, which is why she's right here in C tier. But while Mercy had some really experimental perks, Moira has some safe and just boring perks. So for the minor perks, you have your fade duration increased by half a second. Oh my goodness, bro, give her an Emmy award. Or you can just jump a little bit higher with Moira while in your fade. None of this really helps a playstyle with Moira, or just really helps her that much, but I guess those are minor perks. But then when you look at the major perks, bruh, again, this is when you need to compare the major perk to Ana. A minor perk of hers is where you get 2 biotic grenades that can splash and instantly heal, and you can now heal faster as a minor perk. But with Moira's major perk, you instantly heal someone for 50 health. And that's good, but as a minor perk, not as a major perk. Moira's not gonna get D tier because she has some counterproductive perks. She gets D tier just because she just has lame perks, bad perks, just not good. Orisa, on the other hand, bro, if you thought she was annoying before, oh my god, her minor perks makes it so that she's gonna be extremely annoying. You get 100 additional decay of your overhealth, or you can choose less overheat whenever you get critical headshot damage, and you get a whole lot less overheat with that minor perk. But with the major perks, this is what I really like about perks, is that it can give you the option to be more aggressive, like with the charged javelin. You get more damage and you can pierce through enemies, or you could be more defensive with the protective barrier perk, where you trade in your javelin for a barrier. So this is really good for defense if you no longer want to be like super aggro. So I think just because of that, it really can benefit all types of playstyles in any situation, she's gonna be right here in A tier. All right, so we gotta talk about Pharah's perk setup. A lot of these I just think are backwards. So the minor perks, they're minor perks. They're not gonna be super great. You can convert 75 health to shield. That's all right if you don't have a mercy, or you can move while using your ultimate. I think that should just be her normal ultimate just to begin with. But it's her concussion implosion that I have the biggest problem with. So if you use your concussion blast now, it pulls enemies to that blast. But you can kind of already do that with the concussion blast, normally just putting it behind the enemy or just wherever you want to do it from the opposite direction of where you want them to go. Like, Pharah's perks doesn't wow me, but they don't disgust me. They're just, once again, a very mid perk setup, which is why she's going to be joining her girlfriend right here in C tier. But if you want to talk about bad perks, we got to talk about Ramattra's perk. This is the perfect example of just how lame a lot of the tanks are. What, you get extra projectiles every couple of seconds with your primary fire? That's dumb. It's not bad on paper, but in execution, it doesn't do that much more damage. It's a shotgun. You're gonna miss most of it. But it's a prolonged barrier, so you can increase the duration of the barrier by 25%. You're not gonna need it for a shield. Like, do you really need that extra 25%? Look at me in the eyes and tell me that. But then when you look at his major perks, they're really trying to make his Revenant's Vortex perk work out because both of them are related to it. You can heal yourself for 50 as long as you're within the Revenant's Vortex, which is counterintuitive because the whole point of you throwing it is to hurt and drop the enemy. Or if you do want to drop the enemy and hurt them, you can use the other one, Vengeful Vortex, but you have to detonate. It's so complicated. It's so stupid. The Revenant's Vortex ability is not a good ability just in general for what it set out to be, but these perks don't really help it that much either. Like, I really want to put this in F tier, but these perks are not bad. So he's going to be right here in D tier. Like, you are a solid D, Ramattra. Pause. Reaper, when it comes to his perks, none of them wow me, but there are just 4 solid perks that you're always gonna get use out of. Like, you can really never go wrong with any of them. You can either increase your range after you Shadow Step with the Death Shadows perk, and it also reloads your gun, or you could be like 2016 Reaper and collect souls. Not only do you have your normal passive, but you also have the 50 extra health from the orb, so you're just not gonna die as Reaper for minor perk. And that's a minor perk, need I remind you. When it comes to the major perks, you get a volley of shotguns that you can shoot at the same time. That's not only sick, but also really helpful at long range fights, which is always one of Reaper's problems. Or you get an additional 40% lifesteal after you use your Wraith form for 3 seconds. I think most people are going to use the dual wield model 1887s from Modern Warfare 2 and shoot as Reaper. Reaper's perks solve a lot of problems, but they also have a lot of fun elements to it, which is why he's going to go right here into A tier. Here's another example of just bad tank perks. Reinhardt. Crusader's Resolve. If you use your barrier field, your passive health is activated 50% sooner. Not instantaneously? Or Fire Strikes heal 100% per the damage that it does to your barrier field. Okay, that's cool. That's decent for a minor perk. Then Shield Slam. For a major perk, you bash enemies away from you as Reinhardt, someone who, like, yeah, if you're in a sticky situation, this is really good because it forces them backwards, but if you're trying to swing your hammer, you want them close to you. Or Crush and Victory, it gives you 50% overhealth based on the damage that you do from your pins. So not only are a lot of these perks just very, like, situational, they're not terrible, but I definitely don't even want to call them mid. So that's why I'm putting him right into D tier. I'm sorry, Reinhardt, you're the king of tanks, but you're not the king of perks. Roadhog, just like Junkrat, can throw his pigpen ability 50% farther. Not only is this a lame perk, but counterproductive. You want to be close to your pigpen because a lot of time you're going to pull it close to you so that it does extra damage so you can one-shot kill someone. His major perks, they're all revolved around healing. I don't think you can go wrong with either of them. Either you can be selfish and just get a speed boost, or you can actually heal your allies, which I think every Roadhog should pick, but I don't think any Roadhog is going to pick that perk. So he's going to be right into B tier just because he has one atrocious perk, but it's not a downside perk, and the rest of the perks, they're great. They're fun. So for Sigma, I really wanted to hate his perks, but once you actually read it, which I could barely do, you'll realize just how good they are. A perfect example is his Hyper Strike. Every 5 spears that you hit, once you quick melee someone, it'll knock them away and levitate them. It sounds goofy and ha-ha, but it's also kind of helpful whenever, like, you're in a sticky situation and someone's up close. You can just, like, hey, get away from me. Or you can choose the actual goofy haha perk and just levitate, but it's like not that much of a levitation. Let's keep that straight. You're not gonna be flying like Pharah. So that's why when you look at the perks, they're okay, but they're solid, which is why I was gonna go straight into B tier. See, Sojourn's perks, they're simple for my tiny brain to understand. There's little words to it. You get extra 15 bullets for a minor perk. Sign me up. All jokes aside though, her major perks are also sick as well. Or you can get the sticky bomb where you can just stick an enemy and do extra damage that way, and you'll still get the charge for it. Really solid perks for Sojourn, so she's gonna join like half the hero roster in B tier. Hey, we're back with the extra 15 ammo with Soldier 76, but it's only when you hit a Helix rocket, which is pretty easy. You can do slash damage or you can do direct impact. That's usually the perk that I pick because I'm a selfish soldier, because what, I'm gonna be able to heal my allies for 100% more? No, I'm gonna be by myself on the high ground crying for heals. But we gotta talk about his stim pack perk. This is one of the few perks in the game where you have a major upside, but a major downside. So you have a choice. You can use Bionic Field. We're not gonna be using that. No, we're gonna be injecting ourselves with purple juice that'll make us not only more powerful with damage, reload speed, and all of that, but we can't get healed for 4 seconds. Really? Ugh. It's a rare gambling perk, which is why surprisingly, I don't use it that much because I've learned my lesson. So I just do agility training, being able to reload while running. It's like Call of Duty. That's really great and beneficial for 100% of the time. Just because his other perk saved him, he's gonna be in B tier. And man, B tier is just growing by the second. Sombra's up next. Now, I'm not a Sombra main, but when I use her perks, I become a Sombra main. I love Question, but he said something about not choosing perks because it actually de-enhances your ability to play Sombra. Look, I love you, homie, but I'll never understand what you meant by that because the Control-Alt-Delete minor perk, being able to activate your passive, is so good. I'm not having to search for health packs anymore because by the time I choose my next target, I'm fully healed. Then we have the Mirror Watch ability where you can hack your allies and heal them for 100, or what I always choose because again, I'm just selfish, but I want Stack Overflow because I want the hack silence increased by 100% and I want the range to be increased. Like, look, if I knew how to play Sombra and support very well, I'd choose the White Hat perk, but I don't. But Sombra's perks, they're really great and really help me as a wannabe Sombra main, so that's why she's going into A tier. Metro, on the other hand, I can understand why you wouldn't pick one of these perks. It's not her minor perks. I mean, I like the sentry capacity. You get 1 extra sentry. Cool. Don't use the increased range of the teleporter because most of the time you don't need that extra 50%. You need that extra sentry, not the distance. But it's the shield oh my god, we gotta talk about the shield battery perk. So look, on paper seems great. The teleporter becomes a healing beacon in a sense, but it gives you a false sense of confidence because you have to be around the teleporter to receive that healing benefit. It's specifically 10 meters. But the shield can not only get destroyed, but it'll just automatically go away. So it gives you this false sense of hope, not only from the healing aspect, but if you are on the other end of the teleporter and you're by enemy lines, then you're just maybe gonna just die, even if the teleporter is up. Like, I don't know why you just want to use her other perk, which increases your range of the primary fire for every level of beam. It's so easy and it's really beneficial. So just because of that, just because of how bad some of her perks are, she's gonna go right into D tier. She has 1 good perks, 1 really good perk, and 3 kind of or terrible perks. So let me just put it in this perspective. Would you rather want 1 extra sentry with Symmetra that could get destroyed, or would you rather want the minor perk for Torbjorn that fully reloads your Rivet Gun every time you use your overload ability, which is most of the time when you want to get aggressive? That just goes to show how bad some of these minor perks are in comparison with each other. Yeah, the Craftsman perk is honestly useless because this only applies to certain armor heroes, but I feel like you're gonna forget to hammer your allies because you've never needed to do that. But when you look at the major perks, like, bro, they're both so good. So first of all, you can upgrade your turret to the old turret from level 3 in Overwatch 1 with the Overloader turret, which is awesome, but what I think is the better perk is Anchor Bolts. This is a funny, goofy, haha perk that is so good. You can stick it to the wall, you can stick it to a ceiling. That's the funny, goofy, haha, but it's when you get the increased throw range of 50% that normally would be kind of lame, like with Junkrat or Roadhog, but when you want to stick it far, high, and away and still shoot the enemy, oh my god, Anchor bolts is so good. Like, I found some amazing Torbjorn turrets that were so annoying to get to that have forced me to play long-range heroes. Like, that is the definition of a major perk that can make Torbjorn an S-tier hero. And in this case, he is gonna be an S-tier hero, all just because his perks are so good. Yeah, he has one useless perk, but he has 3 super powerful perks, bro. I love Torbjorn's perks so much. Tracer's perks, on the other hand, well, they're very simple and easy to understand, and more importantly, read. They're not gonna wow you, but what they are gonna do is fit basically every single Tracer's playstyle. Get a health pack, which you're always gonna get, and you're gonna get a blink in return. Or if you wanna upgrade your recall ability, which is both of her major perks, you can restore all your blinks to be even more agile. So really, these are 2 perks that can work together. Surprisingly, a rare thing that happens with perk combinations. Bad Tracer players are not really gonna benefit from her perks that much, but Tracer mains, oh, you're gonna have a field day with. Well, that's why I'm gonna be putting her in B tier. Like, I really wanna put her in A tier, but there's just not enough perks that just wow me. They're just straightforward, easy, beneficial. That's the definition of a solid perk setup. So for Venture, okay, so the minor perks, they're not great. So for Excavation Acceleration, your cooldowns are decreased by 300%, which is sick, but only when you're using the ultimate. And when I use Venture's ultimate, I'm not really using my cooldowns that much, so I'm not really gonna be benefiting much from this, especially considering that's only when you use the ultimate. So you have the other choice with Seismic Sense, being able to see enemies through walls, but like with Venture, do you really need to see the enemies through walls as compared to someone like Sombra, where you can plan your next attack? Then a major perk here is for the Smart Excavator range getting increased by 25%. Like, that's a minor perk upgrade. But then for the other major perk, if you use your melee, it gives you an extra 30 shield on top of that. Like, these are minor perks listed as major perks. So that's why with Venture, like, there's just not something that wows me, but also that fits a lot of Venture's playstyle, and then sometimes D enhances your playstyle. So that's why I'm gonna be putting them into D tier. Dude, and same thing with Widowmaker's perks. So I think most people are gonna choose Scope Efficiency, where every shot takes 3 bullets instead of 5. That's sick, but that's where the compliments stop. You get faster scope shots all while you're in your ultimate, and I don't really like ultimate specific perks, but it's fine for a minor perk, but nothing that's amazing. But the major perks here, you get 2 extra Venom Mines and you get an increase of 50% damage. But you can just destroy the Venom Mines if you see them! Like, what are we doing here? And for her other major perk, if you get scope shots, your grappling cooldown gets decreased, but only up to 4 seconds. Like, if it was just continuous and didn't have a cap, this would be a decent perk. So you get 1 okay perk and 3 just kind of like what? D tier, all the way, Widowmaker. Winston, I'm sad to say, I think has the most useless perk in the game, and it's Short Circuit. His Tesla Cannon does 30% more damage. Hold on, didn't finish the sentence. For deployable objects. Torbjorn turret, sentries, a Hammond mine. Really only 3 heroes that this is going to be beneficial for. So if none of those heroes are on the field, this is literally useless. And you only do 30% more damage. If this was 70, maybe it wouldn't be useless. They're always going to use Heavy Landing, which even that perk is not that great. And then when you look at the major perks, I don't know why you wouldn't use the Revitalizing Berry, where you heal yourself and allies all within the bubble. Just because you have such a good major perk as Winston, it saves you from D tier, but barely puts you into C tier. Barely. Like, let's just compare Hammond's Pack Rat perk to a Winston Short Circuit perk. So you get 100 additional health for every health pack that you grab. That's good. That's a minor perk that you're always gonna benefit from. Or you can do extra damage when you roll into takes. Like, those are decent minor perks that I don't know why they gave such bad perks to Winston. But when you look at the major perks, it gets even better. So you get extra hang time and more damage, 50% more damage with this hang time perk. Or you can have a little bit more complicated of a perk with transfer efficiency, where the cooldown gets reduced by 1.5 seconds per ally that you give shield to, and it also increases the shield by 33%. These are awesome major and minor perks for Hammond that you can't really go wrong with any of them, which is why he's an A tier. Like, Winston, learn from your lab partner and get better perks. You too, Zarya. Like, it pains me to play Zarya because she's such a good tank, and maybe that's why they gave her such bad perks, because I don't want more knockback from the secondary fire. Like, if that was similar to Bastion, where I don't receive self-damage, that'd be sick. But also with the ultimate perk, where you do damage per the health of the enemy, it's another ultimate specific perk that is decent, but I don't know which bad perk to choose from. The major perks, they're okay. You can pierce through enemies as long as you're above 50 health. So if you're a good Zarya, you're gonna see benefit from it. Or you can be a selfless Zarya and increase your allies' passive heal and speed by 15%? That seems like a minor perk to me. I want to put Zarya in D tier. You know what? I'm gonna put Zarya in D tier. If you made it at the end of the video, you're gonna hate me either way, so I don't think you're gonna get affected by Zarya being in D tier. And then the final hero of our list is Zenyatta, who got some funny, goofy, haha perks. Increase to a snap kick and levitation. Have some fun with the minor perks, but get serious with the major perks, because you can charge faster with your secondary fire and you get an extra orb, but you get that speed increase because of the additional orb. So you're gonna fully charge it, you're not gonna see any time difference. But if you also want to get a little bit more complicated and cute with it, with this duality perk where you give your allies who has an orb 20% extra heal based on the damage that you do, then you can do that too. Honestly, Zenyatta, I don't think you have any downside to using perks compared to some other heroes, and I think you're always gonna see benefit from it. So he's gonna go right into B tier, which is where mostly heroes are. Like, Blizzard really didn't get too experimental with the downside of the perks, but I feel like with the experimental perks that they did implement, there was some massive downside. But let me know what you think about some of the perks in the game. What's your favorite? What's your least favorite? Do you think any are useless? Do you think some are overpowered? Just let me know in the comments down below. But until the next time, I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch 2 videos to come, and bye.